That's what we should start with. Are we allowed to talk about that? I know. I'm Brian Hettler, the VP of Creative and Strategy over here at MuteSix. And this is...
I am Ezra. I am the head of design at MuteSix. I have been at MuteSix for about almost a year and 10 months now. And in my time here, one of the longest running projects that I have been working on is building an agency partnership with Webflow.
That is correct. So we needed a solution, right? For our clients who are like, okay, well, we're driving traffic to your website.
Yeah.
But once people get there, we're having some problems. And, Webflow was the perfect partnership for us in doing all of this.
Yeah, they have been great partners to us in the short time that we have been able to sign the contract with them. So we just signed our contract back in late May, right at the end of May. Yeah. So it's only been not even 3 months, really. But we're moving super quick with lots of leads and a lot of learning, getting the team trained, getting everyone certified on the Webflow platform, taking workshops on how to be a good storytelling partner, how to sell Webflow, how to build it into our business. And so it's all been a pretty big learning curve, but so fruitful and so productive. And I think this is going to be so great for the agency.
I know, something I've been talking about, and I actually came up with this, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, is when we were at the Webflow Partner Summit up in Toronto, I sat down and I was like taking notes, and I wrote down the words closed loop marketing infrastructure, right? And so much of what we're trying to build and what we're trying to assess right now is as MuteSix evolves its creative service offering as more of a holistic partner to our clients, is where are there gaps, right, in where we can find creative solutions to also own the data loop, right, from introduction, right, at the high level awareness for your brand to education and conversion, which will happen in deeper video experiences on places like YouTube or on your website, drive them to conversion, then move them into retention, right, and email, SMS, lifecycle products, and then kind of bring them back around. And how do we own that entire loop from the consumer standpoint?
Yeah. Was that a term that you heard in one of the workshops at the summit, or it was just kind of like it just came to you?
It just kind of came to me because I was like, oh, we're filling gaps. It's also kind of like how we're finding partnerships right now for influencers, celebrity partnerships, experiential, anywhere or we can fit creative into that full funnel experience, right, to solve for our clients' problems. That's what we're trying to solve for. And Webflow fills a major gap in that loop. So
yeah, and admittedly, we weren't really filling that gap very well before Webflow came along. This was before your time, but the way we were approaching landing pages was there really wasn't a lot of strategy behind them. They were kind of an afterthought, and like media is MuteSix's bread and butter, and that's great. But like you're saying, like to close that loop, like what is that missing component? And it's marketing pages, it's landing pages. And it's how to like successfully tracking the data on how they're performing, the strategy behind how they fit in the larger frame of like a funnel, right? And we weren't really doing that. So now that we have that capability, it does feel like now, okay, this is full funnel. Like we're
cooking with gas.
Yeah, this is it. Like this is it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Partner Summit was really great. There was I don't know if you were in this one workshop, but it talks about how like the ways partners can show up in relationship to their clients. And it was a graph with like kind of 4 quadrants. So it has high strategy, low strategy, low execution, high execution.
Yeah.
And when you are kind of in the high strategy, low execution quadrant, you're a trusted advisor. Right. Yeah. You're mostly just advising on what they should do, but not actually helping them do it. Right. Low strategy, low execution. That's a service provider. And that's admittedly where it's fallen.
It's where we have been, but it's not where we are going. Right. And I think that's the beauty of the evolution of this place And we've recently built out an entire strategy offering.
Well, to that point, that's where we want to be, is in the high strategy, high execution
Yes.
quadrant. We want to be that like trusted partner.
Yeah.
Because then you also, you don't want to be in like the low execution or like the low strategy, high execution phase of where you're just being a producer, right?
Yeah.
You want that partnership.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
that breakdown of how like agency partners can show up for their clients was really helpful to just kind of see as a visual.
Yeah,
Um,
I
and
would agree.
that was really cool.
Can you tell me, because I wasn't here when it happened, right? When did the relationship between MuteSix and Webflow begin?
June of last year, so June of 2023. We started it really just started out of a conversation of the design tools that we are using were not sufficient to create good quality landing pages.
Yeah.
These were just not industry standard tools. I don't know if I can legally say what they are, but but they were just not up to industry standard. And I realized that we can build a much more lucrative pipeline if we were using like proper tools and proper like data analysis to um, just build better and stronger.
Yeah.
So that's how the conversation started. Um, as just
Had you known of them but prior to working at
Oh
MuteSix?
yeah,
Okay.
I've used Webflow many years ago, and I actually have a couple of friends that are backend coders at
Nice.
Webflow. So
Oh, fun.
um, do have some friends over there. But it started out as just kind of like a one-to-one swap for a simple design tool, and it actually turned into a much larger conversation of like how Webflow can show up to show up for us as a partner. Their partner program is super new. It just launched earlier this year, so we are one of the very first partners in the program. It's cool to, have a presence on the Webflow site and have trusted team members like throwing leads at us and setting up phone calls with potential business ops. And it's been super helpful to not have to do all that heavy lifting ourselves,
Yeah.
especially since we are like this is such a new business pipeline for us.
Well, can you talk about how like once we forged that relationship, right? And then we are like, okay, we're gonna do this. Then we obviously had a team of designers, right? And what was it like getting them trained up on all of this? And what was that timeline like? And what was it like to get the certification?
Yeah, so we had our entire design team go through 4 weeks of training to familiarize themselves with the Webflow platform. A couple of them already were familiar with Webflow, which was very helpful. And now we are Webflow certified.
I
So
love that. Well,
yeah,
it was amazing, and we'll talk more about this, right? But we went up to Toronto for the Webflow Partner Summit to hobnob and meet and greet all the whole team and all the C-suite. But
yeah,
when we were up there, one of the things that I loved learning about actually was the amount of education that is available through Webflow University,
yeah,
right? That not only makes it easy for their partners to learn, which made it easy for our designers to get certified, but also for our clients, right? I,
yeah,
I think one of the biggest pain points for clients is when they have a website that they can't go in and make easy updates, right? Or little copy adjustments or swap out a photo. And
yeah,
then they're getting like nickeled and dimed, right?
yeah,
To be fair, the industry built it that way so that web design and web development companies could make money and be profitable,
and
and they
with
could charge $100 to $1,000 every time that something like this was needed. But
yeah,
in 2024, we all know that that's not viable and that people know better and that there should be more efficient and cost-effective options for them to be able to go in and make these adjustments. So
yeah,
it allows them to be a partner, right, in coming in and having like a certain level of access, right, for making updates or making small changes
yeah,
without completely, pardon my French, but like fucking the whole thing up, right, and breaking the and breaking the whole website. And so there's education available not only for the internal teams that are developing the sites, but also for the clients that are going to be the end user.
yeah. Yeah, and the collaborative nature of Webflow was one of the things that just made it so attractive compared to other website building platforms, was like the client can be directly involved at different levels of involvement and different
Yeah.
levels of expertise if they want to be. And also just being in the partner program as as an agency really makes it so much more affordable for us to execute on these projects that would otherwise be 50, 60, $70,000 for the client to
Yeah.
kind of to do on their own. So it's a win-win for everyone. One thing that I was surprised, and we already talked about this, but one thing that I was kind of surprised once we got there was we were one of the only, if not the only,
We
performance
were.
marketing agency that is currently in the partner program, which kind of blew my mind because I was just like, why aren't there more like marketing agencies like incorporating landing pages, web design into their service offerings? To me,
Yeah.
it's so obvious, and like the overwhelming majority of the agencies that were there are strictly dev agencies, web agencies. They
Yeah.
like this is what they do. They only do Webflow. So we were a little unique in that space, but I think it was great for us actually to be
Well, it
the only
was great
ones.
for us. It was great for them,
Great for
right?
them too. Yeah.
I think that's part of this is it really is a reciprocal relationship.
Yeah.
My perspective on this is that when people think, when marketers think about performance marketing, so often they are thinking about conversion focused metrics,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They are focusing on revenue and they are focusing on ROAS goals,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. CTRs.
Which
Yeah.
exactly, right? We have to zoom out, right? We have to think more holistically. We have to think full funnel, right? And we have to think about consumer experience. Because if you were only hyper focused down there in conversion land, it can be, it is not always, but it can be kind of a race to the bottom, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so what we're starting to do is zoom out and understand, right, the need state of like, how do we actually convert, right? And that takes a lot of steps, right? The consumer journey nowadays, especially with skeptics, right, in the millennial and Gen Z
Yeah.
generations, where we don't purchase the same way that past generations have purchased. Our mindset is different, and the timeline for pathway to purchase is a little extended, even into loyalty, right?
Yeah.
Beyond past purchase, right? And so I think when I was talking with their C-suite, right, about the product and about our need state, they were like, this is so interesting and compelling to be
Yeah.
thinking about this from this standpoint because we're used to talking to only web development agencies, and
Yeah.
you're thinking about our product from a completely different standpoint.
Yeah.
And so I found that not only were those conversations valuable for me, but those conversations were also valuable for like their chief product officer,
Yeah.
right? And their chief sales officer, and having access to like their CFO, their CEO, CCO,
So
CPO, right?
cool.
Like it's
Yeah.
all the CCs, right? Like all the C's, right?
Yeah.
Like that was so rad because how often do you get access to those individuals face to face, right? Over cocktails or over dinner,
Yeah.
right? To engage in a meaningful capacity. And I thought that they were really intrigued to hear how we're thinking about this because integrating, right? Uh, Particularly working in e-com,
Yeah.
right? Integrating tools that allow for Shopify integration,
Yeah.
right? For our data collection and tracking all those metrics, as well as when you move into the loyalty phase, forms, right? That could
Right.
potentially attach to partners like Klaviyo, right? Or other email tools
Yeah.
and service tools that build that full pipeline for us, right? Like that's going to be really important for us and for our client partners is
Yeah.
to be able to integrate those things and create that workflow. And so having those conversations, um, I think that they know kind of where they're at when it comes to the e-com of it all. And we're also trying to solve that because long game, right? Like that's going to have to be a priority, but talking that out with them and being like, I don't know. I always tell people day to day here at MuteSix, I'm like, come to me with solutions instead of just problems,
Yeah.
right? And so I was like, and here's how I would do it. You
Yeah.
know?
Like as a designer, I look at things for like these are brands, right? Like I'm looking at like how the brand is showing up. And for so many brands, especially ones that we work with at MuteSix that are smaller, they're emerging brands, they're kind of like new in their vertical spaces. Their website is their brand. Like the website is how the brand shows up. It's all digital. It's like that is the North Star. It's not
Yeah.
like kind of the old days of like print ads and out of home. Like that's not really how brands show up anymore. It's their website. And so like we it needs to be like an experience where you can seamlessly shop and learn about the products and engage with it in a meaningful way.
And
Like,
let's be honest, attention spans in 2024 are down hard,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So, like, if your website is not a good experience and the UI and the UX is bogus, and you're not leading with the key points of information, the key value propositions,
yeah,
right? And you don't have the education that I'm looking for to inform me about what I need to know about your product for me to make that decision about whether or not it's right for me, whether it's a supplement or a fitness solution or clothing, right? And I can understand like where was all of this sourced from, and or do you have FDA certifications? I want to know all that stuff, right? That's that kind
yeah,
of middle point of the funnel where I'm like, okay, I'm snooping around, I'm doing all the due diligence, and I want to know like, is this something I want to make part of my day to day or not? And that needs to all
yeah,
be there, right? With
yeah.
some compelling design, compelling video, right?
Story.
Maybe some loyalists that come through with quotes, right, that tell me how it's fit
Sure.
into their lives. Like, but
Yeah,
it all needs to be built in,
yeah.
and if it's not there, I'm gonna be like, well, this is a little like sad.
I mean, and we've seen that at MuteSix with other accounts where we have just funneled hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars into media, and the things still don't convert at the
Yeah,
website. Like the sales are still flopping, and it's just like, well, maybe it's not the media plan, maybe it's not the strategy that
yeah.
we revised a million times. Maybe something is happening on your site.
Yeah. And you know, let's go there, right? Maybe there
Yeah,
are larger brand issues. Maybe you don't have a perspective. Maybe we don't understand where it's coming from. Maybe we don't understand who you're servicing
yeah,
or who your end goal client is. Maybe your logo is bad, right? Like there could be a million problems. Maybe there's not brand trust built in. So we need to do some like influencer partnerships or,
sure.
experiential for people to test it. But like that's where diagnosing those problems and understanding where people are falling off and why they're not converting and then developing hypotheses around that is so critical for all these brands.
One way of diagnosing like bigger brand issues is through like personalization on the website and testing different audiences with different content, different
Yeah.
CTAs. And it's so easy to do that with Webflow now, to just be able to populate different versions of the site and figure out like who they're reaching and what audiences are responding to. I think the most valuable takeaway for me was just seeing, I mean, like the product education and like the new tools are great. Um, I think like the design team specifically will be more excited about those, because those are the ones
Yeah.
actually using those tools. For me, I think it was just so fascinating to see how MuteSix fits into like the larger context of the partner program with Webflow and the advantages that come with that.
Yeah.
Um, and also the advantages of not just partnering with Webflow, but partnering with other agencies that need like media partners as well. So I think what we brought to that summit was not more of the same, like just a different POV, different offerings, different ways to like connect with other people there. So
Yeah.
that to me was really cool to
I
see.
agree.
We were pretty unique in that
There,
space.
there was a guy that I met that owns an agency in Ontario, and they build dashboarding tools. And so
Oh
from
yeah,
a market science standpoint, building dashboards and having a partner to build those custom, right, for us and our clients, I was just like, God, that's a very valuable partnership down the road that I could see us doing as well.
yeah.
So it's always nice to meet new people and to meet people from all over the country, meet people internationally. There were people there from England, from Italy,
New
from
Zealand.
Eastern Europe, yeah, from New Zealand, from
Yeah,
all over the place, and to break bread with those folks and to have real human conversations about them and their businesses was so nice
yeah.
and
Agreed.
uh,
It was really cool.
always so valuable. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know. Um, also, I will say one of my favorite things was the last night getting to have cocktails with Allison. right? Who is our sales
She's
partner.
great. Yeah.
She is so lovely, and just having the conversation about kind of what they're trying to accomplish as a
Mhm.
business in tandem with what we're trying to accomplish. And man, that's like half the conversations I have every day
Yeah.
with all of our clients. It's like, well, what are your goals? Like, what are you trying to do, and how can like we help you get there?
Yeah.
Because we also have goals, and we're trying to get there. We're trying to expand our service offering to be a real partner. So tell us what you need, and we might actually have a solution for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's their whole, I guess, like motto in working with us. They have always just been like, tell us what you need and like we will figure it out. We will get it for you. If like, we can't solve it or like offer something, we'll figure out how to get someone else to.
Yeah.
They've always been so proactive and like, yeah, I mean, Allison especially, but shout out to Sean and Michael and John and everyone on that side.
Pew, 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 pew.
Really just like multi efforts over there to really get us what we need. And sometimes I come to them with real dumb questions. I'm not going to even lie. And they are so patient and so nice. So
That's
yeah,
funny.
yeah,
Well, okay, you're kind of leading this here, right? Like
yeah,
I'm a sales guy, right? I'm over here like song and dance,
yeah.
but you're in the trenches, right? So like,
Yeah.
what do you see as like what's next for us with Webflow?
I think we're going to be pretty successful in building out a pipeline for us within the next year. I mean, granted, we've only had our contract signed like 2.5 months. We already have many leads coming through, lots of calls on the book. So that's kind of where you just kind of have to start, right? It's just
Yeah.
by talking to people. So looking forward to that, and also just looking forward to all of the co-marketing ideas and events that we have coming up with Webflow. I don't know if I can talk about any of them, but we do have a couple of co-marketing events in the pipeline coming later throughout August, September, and October that I'm really excited for. Um, I think will expand upon like our partnership with them and
Yeah.
how we are working with them. And also will just be really good exposure and hopefully inspire more performance marketing agencies to think about how they show up in this space, think about what they're using for their website tools. I really want us to be like a pioneer in that space and inspire other agencies to start thinking like this
Yeah.
and thinking about how to engage, if not Webflow, some other like web partner about like how they're showing up in the web space.
I think you have to be thinking this way in
Yeah.
2024, right?
Yeah.
If you're not thinking about how to consolidate all of your branded marketing efforts, right, so that they're working to support each other,
Yeah.
if you're thinking about them as separate, right, if you're thinking that digital and social are separate, right, from your website, are separate from, um, you know, out of home, or so like you have to have connections, right? That are
Yeah.
bringing everything together and um, being able to measure it too, being able to measure impact, right? So that you can forecast and you can project like what's next, right?
Yeah.
And be strategic. So,
Was it
um, oh,
what was it helpful for you to attend that conf? Because you're still like pretty new. So was it
yeah.
helpful for you to attend that summit and kind of get a better idea of what we're
Well, I
doing?
mean, like half of my gig here is the song and dance,
Yeah.
right? And so um I think from my perspective, I feel like I am much more well spoken about the product. I
Yeah.
understand where it fits in, and I'm also formulating the larger creative narrative here at MuteSix of
Exactly.
like, where are we going? Really, like the fact is, in the last 4 months, a lot of change has happened here. We've completely
Yeah.
restructured our department. We're working in cross-functional pods. We've completely redeveloped the entire product, right? So we have all of these strategy products. We have, cross-functional, like always on creative teams. We have full end-to-end production services, right? And now we've got web, and we're doing partnerships for influencer, celebrity, and you know you need out of home, we got it. You need experiential, we got it. You
Yeah.
need something out of the side of the box, we've got partners, right, that do, tech innovation, right? And so that's what we're scaling to, so that we're actually solving your problems, right? We're not just being like, oh, well, we can run a little bit on Meta and we can run a little bit on Google because
Yeah,
that's
no,
what we know how to
it's
do,
going back to being that trusted partner instead of, you know,
Yeah.
just an advisor or a producer.
SaaS, ecom,
Yeah.
right? Search and
Yeah.
social, bread and butter, right? But like that's not solving all of our clients' problems. And that's not what they're looking for. Every single time recently that I've gone into a client call and I've been like, this is where we're doing, this is what we're doing, this is where we're going. They're like, that's exactly what we need. That's exactly what we've been looking for. And I'm like, uh-huh. Uh-huh. So like it's exciting because they get excited. And that's I think where marketing needs to be going. So tell me a little bit what you thought about Toronto. Did you like Toronto?
I love Toronto. Yeah, I have been to Vancouver a couple of times, been to Victoria quite a few times. It's different. The vibe is different.
Yeah.
It feels like it has like the density of New York, but like the cool vibe of like the Mission District in San Francisco.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's like New
Really
York
cool.
and San Francisco's like clean and nice sister, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But also like everybody's speaking different languages, mostly French,
Super
but I heard
diverse.
I heard like
Yeah.
20 different languages. It was so international. It was dense with
Yeah.
small businesses, very walkable, very young,
Yeah.
very fashion, right? At least certain the districts that we were like spending most of our time in were I
Yeah.
it's also a massive city and we were only there for 3 days and we barely left the
We were
conference,
really
but
just going
yeah,
back like
back
from
and
one
forth and
hotel
back
to
and forth
the
from the
other
hotel. Yeah.
hotel.
But what
Yeah.
we did see was pretty cool. And I ran into the
Yeah.
only person that I know that lives in Toronto the
Oh
first
yeah.
night, very randomly. City of 3 million people, didn't coordinate it, ran into the one person I know. So weird. We've been rambling on for a while now.
Yeah.
We should probably close it up, but
Yeah.
I would, I would be remiss not to do a hard sell at the end and to go, if you out there need a partner in all of this and you are looking for strategic, audience-led, innovative performance marketing solutions, if you need a website and are having conversion problems, if you hate your CMS tool because it's expensive and inefficient, and you're looking for some nice, fun people to talk with to solve your problems, then you know who to call. And come on down to MuteSix. Because we have solutions for you.
Well, cool. This was a great chat. Thanks for your time, Brian. And yeah, looking forward to just seeing, what the future holds for us in Webflow.
Yeah. Till next time.